Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Briefcase in the Barn with me and Gary. Today's sponsor, as always, so far anyway, Arbonne. Why'd you look at me like that?
Thought it was Lockbox, but...
Oh, that was last week. No, Lockbox goes in between. The show sponsor, Arbonne. It's a supplement, so I take it every morning. I take a scoop of greens and some other stuff. If you go in the description of this video, you can see what I take every day. It's awesome stuff. It's made me feel a lot better. So if you want to try it, you know where to do that. Ready for another one?
Yeah.
Good week?
I was in the U.S. most of the week. Idaho, Oregon, on a hay buying trip with my oldest son.
How was that?
It was good. I mean, I feel like a bit of a loser leaving my wife at home with 5 little kids. It went well for her. Okay. So she actually said it was good. She had good help and just a good week, good couple days. I mean, I was gone very brief time, really, for how far I went. Basically, like 2 full days. Monday, Tuesday. I came home Tuesday night. So, yeah, no, it was good. I mean, it feels very different the minute you cross the border, and the further you go, the
freer you feel?
I wouldn't say free, really. I mean, the flags are bigger. The American flags are huge.
Yeah, they are everywhere.
Yeah, and the guns, the people are more, like when you go into Idaho, yeah, it's a different feeling for sure. I like Idaho. I think Idaho is a great place to live. But I'm a romantic, and wherever I go on holidays or anywhere, I always think that, especially when it's farming, I just think that'd be a great place to go.
How far are you from Idaho Falls?
Don't know. Didn't look on the map. I mean, I was an hour north of Boise.
Okay, that's where MDT's set up now.
Okay,
Idaho Falls.
Okay.
Oh, their second U.S. location, because there was a bunch of new gun laws in Washington State that got passed last year on mag capacity, and so there was restrictions around that, so they had to
set up in
Idaho. Yeah.
Okay. How big is Idaho Falls?
I'm not sure how big it is in a bit. No. But
good place to do business. And actually, I think, and I could be wrong, I think Boise, Idaho is the fastest growing city in North America. And that would make sense because there is a lot of trucks that go from here to there and are looking for loads, which is why it's good place to get hay from.
Like Chilliwack a couple years ago had the most U-Hauls coming in of anywhere in Canada.
Yeah, it's over now. Now that's in Alberta.
Yeah. Okay, right on. I got a bunch of topics here. Got one I was thinking about today. Why do some people that clearly need help refuse it or in denial? I know like you talk to a lot of different people, especially when it comes to freedom session, but I'm talking even more in general. Why is there such a resistance in people towards accepting help or needing help?
There's probably 2 pieces. One is pride. So part of it is pride, right? It does not matter how messed up somebody is, there's human nature is being proud. So like even when I talk to people and I go to like down on the streets, because of course we have, people that we know on the streets in our family.
Yeah.
And we go down on the streets and you talk to somebody and it's amazing how somebody can be literally doing fentanyl and drinking ice cold Coke and that's it. And smoking a lot of cigarettes and they can still be talking down about somebody else or that, they're going to do better. Like, I mean, and part of it is probably just, they're just fighting for survival, but it's fascinating how no matter where you are on the socioeconomic spectrum, I think human nature is such that you kind of, the easiest way for someone to make themselves better is to push someone else down, right? And so I think when people get offered help, there's a lot of pride there, and it's just, and I'm really guilty of it. I think, I don't know how you would respond for yourself, how easy it is for you to accept help, how that feels when you're taking it, but.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely something you had to learn. I had to learn,
okay,
because it is definitely humbling. It's much easier to give than it is to receive, especially when it comes to money. I find specifically like giving money to someone is just like makes you feel good about yourself. Receiving money, especially in our culture, makes you feel like you're a loser or something. But it's just also more. I think even outside of money, people just say, "Hey, need help?" No, I'm fine. Yeah, but they clearly not fine.
Clearly not fine. I think the other thing is that's one side of the coin, and then the other side, at least on the emotional side, is just the fact that most people are, if they know what they got to work on, they are hesitant. I think in regards to freedom sessions in particular, it's like people, they know they need to be signing up. They can when there's a nagging thought that you have, I mean, call it what you want, if you're spiritual or not, like. That's there for a reason, and you can stuff it, and people do, and some people stuff it their whole life, which is really sad, right? But you're like, and I hate the term like abundant life, but like, you're missing out on a lot
leaving so much on the table.
So I just feel like, and I think like working with the people that, I've been working alongside and doing life with, it's just pretty cool when you're in it, but it's hard. T-shirt says it.
Things that matter
are hard, and they are hard, and it's hard to get better because you have to, in order to find real freedom, you got to deal with the past crap and the current crap, and that's
makes sense. Proverb of the week. I said last week I was going to pick a proverb every week. Yeah. So one that stuck out to me. So you can read it on my phone. I first read the first part, and then I went back and read the part before. It makes it make a little bit more sense. Even children are known by the way they act, when their conduct is pure and whether it is right. So even children are known by the way they act, whether their conduct is pure, whether it's right. And I think it's, for me, when I read that, I think about our actions show what we are and not what we say. Because that it goes before that, it says, the verse before that says, false weights and unequal measures, the Lord detests double standards of every kind. I think it's not saying what you're doing, which made me think of when I got coached the first time. I got coached by Kim Addis, my coach, and she's in her 50s, Jewish lady.
Still coaching you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a Christian. So completely different belief sets. She's actually super anti-gun. It's kind of funny when Israel started getting attacked, I started ribbing her a bit because I was
she wasn't as anti-gun.
Yeah.
That's so unkind.
Because I sold to the IDF, but she said in week 2 of the coaching program that I did with her, which actually isn't a program, it's just coaching, but what's most important to you in order? And I said God, and then family, and then work. She's like, okay. And in week 6, she goes to me, she goes, Kyle, like those values, that's bullshit. Works, God's not first, works first. I'm like, nah, God's for sure first. She's like, no, all you do is work. Your actions show what's most important to you, not what you say.
What comes out of your mouth, yeah.
And that, I think that's kind of what I think about when I read this verse is like, it doesn't matter what you say. It matters what you do. And what you do shows what's most important to you. That's what you believe.
What hits me in that verse is just the dishonest weights, or just the idea of being just the areas where in my life where, and I've, like I always tell people, even when I'm selling hay or something, like, hey, like we charge enough that we don't need to lie about the weight, like whatever, we're making money, right? Like that's, but it's a business, like my business. And there was people along the path in my life that were total shysters with weights and whatever, right? And same with cattle dealers, as a general rule, have this dishonest aura about them, right? Although there was lots of great guys that do it. It's those things. There's definitely areas where you could totally be dishonest and be a shyster, right? Yeah. And so that's, to me, it's always like that reminder. And anytime I hear a verse or a word about integrity, or it's like, I don't know if it's a common saying, but it's like, honesty is what there is when everyone's watching, and integrity is when no one's watching, right? And it's like, hey, am I a person that, even if I have the full opportunity to be dishonest and get further ahead, quote unquote, financially, am I being
honest?
Am I being a straight shooter, right?
I talked to a guy this morning, and he had just quit for a company. He'd worked for quite a while, I think 8 or 9 years. And I asked him, like, why'd you quit? And he goes, like, just bad ethics. I'm like, what do you mean bad ethics? He's like, well, situational ethics. Whatever made the most money, that made the most sense. And so he goes, like, just didn't, like one day that would have been bad, but the next couple weeks later, that made the most money. So then it was fine. Then it was fine. Then it was okay. And I thought that was interesting. I never heard the phrase that way, situational ethics. You gotta just made it, at that time, you can always convince yourself to make it okay in your favor.
I think in our business, one of the things that we're missing is just, and we have ethics, and I feel like we try to do things the right way. And our motto, like, we don't have, I guess that's where I'm going with this. We don't have a list of core values or things that our mission statement for our business, but like we should, like, and we should have, like, I do know what kind of drives us, but it should be, everybody should know it. And it should be just really clear. And then, like my wife always says too, if you had that, even for your life, like if I had it for my life, then I could make a decision based on that if I was asked to start this or do that. And me, I'm just kind of like, I've always taken the shotgun approach, right? Like, just
you get someone to follow you for a month and be like, and then after a month be like, hey, these are your values, this is your mission. From everything I can see and all your behaviors, these are your values, this is your mission. Because that's what your values and mission are. Every company has
divide and conquer.
Values, divide
and conquer. What a disaster.
No, but isn't that true? Like you.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even from the sense of just like, starting new things or new ventures but even my own personal life, it's like, hey, what is important? What do I, like you say, what do I value? And then, hey, how am I going to, like you say, family? Like I've always wanted to say I'm a family man. Well, if you don't spend much time playing with your kids or you're just too busy doing other things, then that may not be a priority, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, make a list of your values and then lay it beside your calendar.
Yeah, I value having fun. I was going to, I want to put a zip line in my backyard.
Oh, Nicole does too.
Yeah?
Yeah, she desperately wants to put a zip line for the boys in
Okay,
there.
maybe we'll do it here then. My wife kiboshed it.
Oh, why?
I didn't like said it was going to be uglier than sin. Like I want to put it from the back trees way up in the, like we have some big trees, like probably 200, 300 feet back, and I wanted to run it right to the back patio. How are you
going to get the winch back? Like to pull it back every time so they can walk
long
down?
rope.
Oh, okay.
Long rope, yeah. No, I had a whole plan. I was on the internet. I could see that you could buy the cables, and then I was just actually at a cattle auction today, dispersal in Abbotsford, and they had a zip line set up at the farm. So
how high?
It was pretty long too. It was pretty good.
How high though? Like high up?
Well, mine, I'm going to try to go as high as I can without breaking the trees off. She thinks the trees will break. First, she was talking about safety.
Kid just hands on, or
I don't think they should be strapped in. I think they should hang on, and if you let go, well,
tough luck.
Tough luck, yeah. Built character.
20 feet?
Yeah, they'll be 20 feet up for sure. I was thinking more like 40 or 50. I was going to build a spiral staircase around one of the trees. Then she started asking who was going to do it and all kinds of questions, and it turned into a bit of marital conflict.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. Backyard's open. You start anytime.
You got big trees back there, eh?
Yeah, that'll be fun. I think last week I also said I was going to do a series on fruits of the Spirit. I was going to take all the different fruits of the Spirit and do one a week and talk about them. So love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. It's interesting. Fruits of the Spirit is kind of like when I hear that phrase, that kind of doesn't really attach to anything. But if I say fruits of being a Christian or fruits of being saved or fruits of being converted, those are the fruits.
Which is actually you don't believe in the Spirit, or what's the problem there?
Well, I never heard much about the Spirit growing up, so I think that didn't attach too much. But also, growing up, I thought the fruits of the Spirit were wearing a black suit and not laughing too much.
Not having too much fun.
Yeah. Being a little bit down, not being happy.
That is one thought. I don't know if that was, I'm sure it wasn't taught per se, but it was definitely what I believed, is that if you were a Christian, you were saved, you were not having a lot of fun.
No, your life sucked.
Yeah, your life would suck, which is bizarre. I'm sure they didn't mean to teach that, but that's just how it came across. There again, the action spoke way louder than the words. Right?
Now, would you define fun and joy separately, or the same?
Oh, same. I mean, I know that they could mean very different things to different people, but I look at it like, I mean, when I was a kid, it wasn't about being joyful, right? Like I just wanted to have fun, or just, even just doing fun things, like even because people that were in positions of authority in the church, all of a sudden when you got to a certain level, it was as if they couldn't do fun things anymore, which I mean, that's changing now, I think, but it's like, they couldn't, they weren't necessarily hunting or water skiing or whatever, just basic things that there's nothing wrong with, but it was just, that's just the way we were brought up, right? Where to check certain boxes or whatever.
And I also think fun is a little bit also, I mean, it's fun or carefree. And like, how do you be, like you're light, like there's things are, things are okay. And I think that's only possible if you're trusting in someone else, having all things in control.
Yeah, but don't you think at the same time there's great weight that comes with it as well, or not? Or you wouldn't look at it that way?
And how so?
Just in the sense of like just realizing that coming to the realization that eternity is real, it's forever. It's like, hey, I don't know. I just feel the weight off. And I mean, Marie says I carry it way too much and it's not my job, but I just feel like you look at the people that that you love and care for that are not believers, or people that are really lost, or just, I don't know, to me that, or even I just look at the kids in our life, their parents that are in tough shape, or I don't know, I just carry a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a ton of fear or lack of it and stuff like that, but I don't think that's how it should be.
Okay.
I mean, that there's the one thing that, comes up in the Bible all the time is the phrase "fear not." Like,
yeah.
Why not? Because we can trust God. We know that He has a plan and all things are under control. Yeah. He just asks us to be faithful. I mean, it reminds me of your the quote that you told me about: everything you own owns a little part of you. And so, how do you do that? How do you you just own nothing? Then I think the only way to how I've been thinking through it is we're a steward of everything we own. Like God asked us to it's not your money, it's my money. I've asked you to manage it well. Mm-hmm. I've asked you to manage your business well, your family well, all those things like that. But we don't actually own them. We just steward them. And so then I think we can just hold our hands open with what we have and hold it loosely. And I think that's when you can live joyfully. I think once we start wanting to control it and making it right in our ways, that's when fear goes up and lack of joy goes down.
What does it mean to you? I was talking to a buddy the other day, great guy, just talking about and we were talking about what it meant to be spirit-led. What does that mean to you, to be spirit-led?
I would say when you feel convicted in your conscience on something, following your convictions on that, not pushing that way. I think that is, everyone has a conscience, but as a Christian, we have the Spirit in us, and I think it's louder, or just, you feel it stronger.
Feel prompting.
Feel stronger. Okay. I think it's when we're reading the Bible, the things that pop up, the things that are in our face. I think those are things we need to listen to. And if we listen to them, implement them, I think that's being Spirit-led.
Okay.
But beyond that, I'm not a theologian of any kind. I have to ask Pastor Matt or something, but okay. What do you think? You're an elder, so you should know everything.
I don't know anything. It's a disaster. Do you feel like you're quenching the Holy Spirit if, let's say, you had a prompting to pick up a hitchhiker and you didn't pick up the hitchhiker? Are you quenching the Spirit if you didn't pick up the hitchhiker?
No.
I'm saying this because my wife won't pick up the hitchhikers, and it really pisses me off.
Yeah, I think maybe. I think it definitely could be, but it could also just be what I have is often I feel a ton of guilt about not being everyone's savior. I mean, that's not true. I mean, it just, we, in a works-based culture, you gotta help everybody, and we can't help everybody.
No, not supposed to.
And so, I think there's people that don't need to pick up hitchhikers, but I'm sure there's some people that
should pick up hitchhikers.
Yeah.
I think my wife should, but only when I'm with her. I don't even expect her to pick them up by myself, but.
So when you're there, she also won't?
No, it's really funny.
And you always will?
I always will. I will never drive past a hitchhiker and not pick him up. And I've picked up lots of hitchhikers in the last 2 weeks. Some bizarre experiences from it. Some really weird things.
Start doing this. It sounds fun.
Yeah. The old joke, right? Where it's the hitchhiker gets in my car and says how come you don't know I'm a serial killer or a psychopath? And I say, well, the likelihood of there being two of those in this car is pretty unlikely. Anyways. But
how far do you take it? Because I go
really far sometimes. Really far, depending on my day. I mean, way less far now than I used to. I used to have way more time, and I drive an extra whatever, right? Didn't matter. But Marie and I did pick up a hitchhiker one time. We actually drove. We were going to church in Agassiz at the time, and we drove back across the bridge because I was just so we went back to Popcom. This guy was at the roundabout. We picked him up, took him into Agassiz. Quite a trip, and then basically, in the sermon, Pastor Eldon used an illustration about picking up hitchhikers. And she grinned at me and said, "Boy, we dodged a bullet there. It's a good thing we went back, right?" But I only feel like it's the easiest thing to do. If you're literally driving down the road and you got a seat in your vehicle, why would you not pick the person up, right? And it's a great, people that are, not that every hitchhiker's down and out, but anybody that sucks not having a vehicle, right? And it's a pretty easy way to bless someone and have a good conversation and just care for somebody, right, in a practical way. And I just feel there's literally a story Jesus talked about the you know, that we like, and we grew up with that story, the Good Samaritan, right? I mean, it could be the hitchhiker. Like Dutch people don't live that way because we just pick and choose how we interpret verses. But it's like, that's my interpretation. It's like, got his head on a rock alongside the road. Can you not throw him in the back? I mean, just put him in the box.
I guess I'm what am I, a Pharisee then?
No, you're for sure picking up hitchhikers from now on, I guarantee you.
Well, I'll probably enjoy it. Okay, so what are some of the stories you had the last couple of weeks? You picked someone up and...
Oh, yeah, just random people that were living out they had some broken down old RV, and they were a Christian couple. It was beautiful. And they were hitchhiking to Hope. And I was on my way to go to a meeting in Kelowna, and I just picked them up and, took them to grab something and they were meeting a friend in Hope to get they had a friend there that was going to help them. And it was just a great experience. It's like, hey, these people are, and I mean, it feels safer if it's a couple usually, right? And I'm not concerned about picking up anybody, but like if my family's with me, obviously you got to use your judgment. And I'm being I'm joking around a bit because obviously there's just people that are not cut out for it. You're totally right. But, and it's just, Marie and I don't fight about anything, but we've had the biggest fights. Two things we had the biggest fights over. One of them is picking up hitchhikers. And the other thing is just putting the boat in and out of the water at the lake, like just carnage. Like, man,
you guys must have a great marriage if that's the biggest
Those are the biggest two fights. The biggest, like the scars on the side of the boat from hitting the dock and hitting the boat launch are like,
I can imagine
a metaphor for our marriage.
I can imagine that. Tell me a story where, how did that happen?
No, just she's in the boat. She's got 4 or 5 kids screaming in the boat. I'm back in the truck and yelling at her how to drive it. She's panicking, right? There's people all around watching. It's horrible. It's a disaster.
There's actually YouTube videos of like compilations of just people backing in boats.
It's not easy. And there's easier ways for us to do it. And I'm just stubborn and ignorant. And so anyway, she's very, very gracious. And we try to go boating with other people that are able to drive the boat on the trailer. And it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I definitely have different
struggles,
different things we fight about.
Well, you both just agree not to pick up hitchhikers, so you're fine. As long as you're on the same page, it's great, right? Yeah.
I'm actually not going to say anything to Nicole. It depends if she listens to this or
not. She won't listen to this.
You listened to the last couple.
Yeah.
Did Marie?
Yeah, she did, and she was actually really supportive. Things could turn after this episode. I can feel that.
I think the camera's off, so I think this might just be an audio-only episode because something's wrong with the camera here, so... Buy more Arbonne stuff so then you can actually get a proper camera.
Nobody wants the video. I got a face for radio.
Okay, what else? What else you got, Gary?
How was your week, Kyle?
Oh, it was good. I interviewed a bunch more people. Had Bill Booster on the podcast.
Okay, I like Bill Booster, man. Good dude.
Yeah, and talked about Christianity business, kind of his all years in business. And then I had Pastor Vergunst on the podcast. He's an NRC pastor out of Charlton.
Okay. Did he used to be in the Midwest?
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've listened to sermons from him.
Yeah, was there for 7 years, I think, and moved back. So that was good. Just
what did you talk to him about?
His whole story. Yeah. So he, when he was in his 30s, his wife was around 29. He became a pastor. And it was 4 years of training. And in his second year of training, his wife got cancer, brain cancer, I believe. And he was a pastor for about a year, and she died. Yeah. And then he remarried her sister a year and a half later, which he said actually told me yesterday that was too quick. That was told that whole story, and also how his dad died. Dad died. Didn't even think when he was.
Was it too quick for him or too quick for other people?
He said it was, he particularly talked about his wife, how it was hard when he was still very much in mourning. His first wife.
Okay.
And he said she did understand a lot because it was her sister as well, but,
okay.
I mean, he talked about that,
Interesting.
Yeah, just processing it all.
Okay. It's interesting because we had a couple over the other night and this lady's mother, same thing, had, her biological mother had passed away. And her dad had remarried, and he remarried very quick as well. And there was just, I don't know. I mean,
he had 4 or 5 kids at the time. So
wow,
and he had just started being a pastor of, like that's not.
Are we giving excuses why now or what? No, I always look at it like my wife is free to get remarried right away, instantly if she wants. We talk about it.
We talk about it too.
Yeah. Do you tell her who she's allowed to marry?
Yeah, I've listened to names.
Oh my. You should probably get someone else to vet them.
Oh, she could vet him herself. I just harp on her.
Okay. Oh, I just think, hey, all the power to you, woman. Be pretty lonely by yourself.
Yeah.
She says pretty lonely with me too, though.
Pardon? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're gone a lot. So I interviewed him.
I'm looking forward to listening.
Yeah, so that'll be hopefully next week Friday. It is kind of a mess because it's a virtual interview, so I had the camera shut off as well. So I don't know what's going on with the camera, and so I had to do it over audio, of course, and he didn't have a proper mic, so hopefully it turned out
decent quality.
Half decent. So that'll be next week Friday. Hopefully Bill this Friday. And I posted mine with Florence Westring, who's a coach for women with anxiety.
Okay.
Last week. I got a bunch more coming up. I actually messaged my buddy Trey that I did the psychedelics therapy with last year, and I was bugging him to come up and record together because I really want to do that one in person.
Okay. I listened to your Lori Thronis interview the other day, and it was awesome. I mean, if there's anybody that's watching this that's a political junkie and they haven't watched it, I don't ever watch anything. I always listen to everything because I listen to podcasts or Spotify. So
what'd you like about
it? He was just really honest. He's a really honest guy, and he literally just did the right thing and got skewered for it. But yet at the same time could totally realize that he probably just didn't need to say, like, it was unfortunate timing, and I don't want to say the wrong thing because I would. I thought it was.
I thought what he said was totally okay. It made sense.
Yes, it did, but it's like he said in politics, it's not about that, right? I mean,
I hate that.
You hate that. Well, I mean,
Donald Trump made it work.
Welcome to the jungle. Yeah, I mean, fair enough, and you would hope that we don't come to a place where people get like. I don't want politics to become that polarized, right?
What do you mean? How?
In the sense of like, hey, you're either like, a puppet moderate on this tide, or like a ruthless, big mouth on the other. Like, you should be able to speak truth winsomely.
You can't win, yes, but you can't put ruthless beside what Lori said.
No, and Lori's not that way, and I guess that's what was beautiful. It's like, hey, he just did the right. I mean, he still got skewered for it, and that was unfortunate. Yeah. And I mean, ironically, you're seeing his entire, and it's funny. So that I think you recorded that in 2020, and like I was listening to it as like the Conservative Party in BC is rocketing up in the polls, and the BC United Party is becoming irrelevant. And I mean, I like Kevin Falcon, and I've been in a room with him listening to him in the last 2 months, but you can't. There's certain things that are just not lines that that you and I are just gonna be like, no, we're not agreeing to that, right? Or worse than that. And this, I don't know how much you follow BC politics, but like people just, when it comes to like gender stuff, like that's the line in the sand. Like, we're not going to start saying something that's false is true, right? Like, we're going to be gracious, we're going to be caring, we're going to be sensitive, we're going to be all those things, but we're not going to start saying something that's untrue is true, right? Yeah. And I think that's where, I think that's where the United Party is just trying to be like all things to all people and that, and they're becoming nothing, right?
But isn't the BC Conservatives kind of the same too? Like someone was telling me about some of the candidates they were running and stuff like that it is kind of just one big tent again, and it's just another version of the BC United Party.
They would allow that, but they'll fully support a candidate that is very conservative, right?
Lori?
Yeah.
Would Lori be allowed to run?
Yeah, he'd be allowed to run. He'd be great. He'd be a star candidate. I don't know if they asked him or not, but
I don't think he's running. So
no, he's not.
When is the election here in BC?
It's coming up this fall.
What difference does that make for a BC business if it goes to BC United, BC Conservative Party versus the NDP right now? Does it actually have tangible?
Yeah, I think it does. I think that the lower level you go in politics, the more that you would see tangible results at a personal level. And I think that especially like obviously the Conservative Party is very pro business, and long before they were doing as well as they were, because I have wrestled with, like, I was brought up in a family, and my parents are very good people, but my dad in particular always said, hey, don't split the vote. Like, don't split the vote. We were just brought up to be like, even at a federal level as a kid, I remember like there was the Christian Heritage Party, and I wasn't obviously voting age. I was just a kid, but I remember, there was a pretty big push in Chilliwack in particular, because we're in the Bible Belt, kind of like to support that. And it was like, oh no, like that's just, why would you go that route, right? And then the Reform Party came around. And so I think that even now, I think through the last 4 years of everything we've gone through, I probably would I way more just vote my conscience, even if it's, and just even some of the friends I have, some guys that I know pretty well that I really respect, they're just do the right thing, just vote, and whatever.
Yeah. It is a crappy system though. Like the
but it's
first
still,
past the post system.
Yeah, it's a pretty good system. I like it.
I'd much rather have the American system, where it's like way more proportional to not population but geographical area. It's a better system.
It's a horrible system. I think Canada has a pretty good system.
You can get 30% of the vote in Canada and get a majority government.
You can, but at least stuff gets done. You remember our social studies classes from Socials 11?
Yeah, but really bad stuff gets done. Like, I think government should be designed to be really slow and
think
super hard to pass laws.
Oh, yeah, it's foolish. I very much disagree. That's how it is in Europe. It's useless. These governments accomplish nothing. Or they pander to some extremist movement on one end or the other.
I mean,
do you agree with proportional representation then?
I mean, I should be careful to say I agree with it or don't agree with it. What I just like about what I hate about the Canadian system is that you can just get 30% of the vote and pass a whole bunch of
crazy laws.
And when government is hard to pass laws and it's hard to like put new regulations in. Like regulations generally slow things down. I think it make it harder.
But guess what? When the tide turns and people are sick of the ridiculousness, the regulations are going out the window by the basket full too. Hopefully, it is hard.
It hasn't happened yet. Harper didn't do it.
Harper did. No, I'd give him more credit than that. I think he got rid of some red tape. And to be honest, the Liberal Party before him was the Conservative Party of today.
Yes.
So I mean,
exactly. So it's
Paul Martin
just moving.
The whole spectrum's moving, right? I mean,
but even Harper, like all the people he pointed to the Supreme Court, they're all just liberal, hardcore.
Okay.
I don't have much faith.
You don't have much faith in politics. I can hear that.
No,
I think it's. I think it's the only place where you can make a difference. I think it's important to be engaged. I think as Christians, often we just kind of think, well, yeah, or people just in general get disillusioned, right? And because it is a grind, and because it is nasty. But I just think we're called to be engaged in those situations too, and be the salt and the light. And the easiest place to be the salt and the light is in the swamp.
That's good. That's fair. I mean, I've been into politics since I was a little kid. I mean, I did terrible in school and had a terrible childhood, but I was always reading the newspaper, cover to cover. I was always really into it, but it is just, I think it's just depressing. I think we talked about it last time too.
Are you going to run for politics?
I actually ran for the PPC when they had their election, last election, whatever else like that, to be a candidate, and I got approved to be a candidate. But there was 3 other guys in a riding that got approved. Okay, and so then the guy that had run the time before, I just went behind him, which is a wise decision. I should not have put my time into that at that time, and I've thought about it a bunch more over the years. But
you think it'd be good for your coaching business?
Getting into really politics?
Bad? Yeah.
Probably worse, I'm guessing. Okay. I mean, I don't know what difference it would really make, but
yeah. What's your favorite part about your coaching business?
Probably working with someone and seeing the changes happen in front of you.
Okay.
When the lights go on, when they realize something or
and it's never because you tell them, you said, right?
No.
It's always self-realization?
Self-realization. Just questions.
Okay. Questions. A lot of journaling?
A decent amount of journaling. Depends on the guy you work with. Some guys journal.
Refuse to journal?
Yeah, some guys almost never journal. But I mean,
it's probably pretty healthy to journal.
It's super healthy to journal. It's actually, Verguntz actually was saying yesterday, like one of the ways he got over his grief was journaling. Just writing it down. He had to get those feelings out. But you get to see, so when people are journaling decently often, you see trend lines, right? Mm-hmm. You see the same things that they're saying or not saying that you often don't realize yourself. And so you get an outside perspective. And so you can point those out and you can say, hey, this is what you're saying consistently. Like, is that actually true? Mm-hmm. And often what we believe is true. You're challenging beliefs, right? So if someone has a belief about something, you challenge the belief and you want 1 or 2 things to happen. You want them to realize that what they believe is actually not what they, not actually true, so that they can change their belief. And then once you change your belief, your behaviors change. Or 2, that the belief solidifies and they're more sure about it. And that's also good.
It's encouraging. Okay.
And so it doesn't, just like my coach is like, I don't care if works first or God's first. Like, she was a Jew. She's like, just don't bullshit yourself.
Just be honest with yourself.
Be honest, yeah.
It's the hardest person to be honest with is yourself. It starts there.
Yeah.
And then changing is hard too.
That's why I do polygraphs. That actually helped a lot.
And do polygraphs always work? Can people beat a polygraph?
Oh,
I asked a guy this the other day.
Yeah, people can beat a polygraph.
People can?
I've definitely heard about it. And
but it's not that common.
No,
What percentage of people do you think are beating a polygraph
very small amount.
Okay.
Like you got to be motivated to go like figure it out
on how to do it?
How to do it.
It's a science.
Yeah. Like I haven't even Googled it, and I'd be pretty motivated individual to do certain things. Like when I want something, I pursue it pretty hard. But yeah,
I would like to do it. I'm going to work on doing it. Who does it? Is there like a
there's
company that does
his
it?
name's Dennis Paulson. He's out of Vancouver. He's a former RCMP officer.
Okay. He does it?
Yeah, he does them all for Dave Curry.
Oh, okay. Does he do it out of Abbotsford, or do you have to go in Vancouver to do it?
He goes to Abbotsford office, yeah.
Okay.
Abbotsford DFR, doing family right office.
Okay. So I could probably just talk to my counselor at Doing Family Right and say, hey, I'd like to do a polygraph.
$500.
Okay.
Not cheap, but yeah. You get
Pretty cheap price of truth. Pretty cheap price of truth. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Curry does it with all these guys that he works with, or women as well and stuff like that. He goes like, hey, we need it for any growth or any, there has to be a foundation, right?
There has to be.
You need a foundation. The foundation has to be honesty. Like you have to know where your starting point is. And so with any couples he works with and stuff like that, he's just like, hey, start with a polygraph. And I actually thought about it myself. If I ever so I've thought about being a counselor or whatever, addictions counseling, marriage counseling. And I was like, man, I think I would just want every person I work with to start there, because otherwise you can work with someone for first 6 months or a year, you're just dealing with bullshit. Like you just don't know, it's not true. Now, I don't think, I know some guys do actually do this. The first thing they do, it's like a 1 week program, like a marriage intensive program. Day one, you start with morning one, you start with a polygraph.
Okay. But now with the polygraph, it's actually not the polygraphs when they asking the questions is not when the honesty comes out. It sounds like you actually do a full disclosure first with every last detail on it. That's what you're supposed to do. That's
right. Yeah.
And
make sure everything's
so you're actually being honest yourself before you even get asked the questions.
Yeah.
Which that in of itself would be very healthy.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what Freedom Sessions is doing, right? It's basically just like, hey, obviously first becoming honest with, yourself and then others.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Month till go time.
Pardon?
Month till Freedom Session starts. There's 5 weeks. Lots of people are signing up too. It's going to be a good group. It's exciting.
Okay. Maybe let's end with that. In 1 minute, what is Freedom Sessions?
We asked this the first episode, and I didn't do a very good job. I'm actually going to Ken Dix for supper tonight, so I'll ask him how to describe it. Well,
I actually emailed him last year to come on the podcast, so maybe he can just come on. And
I'll try to get him on. I'll twist his rubber arm,
and we'll talk about it, and then we'll
that would be good.
Links to where people can sign up and take it. So, and sorry about the camera, guys. This is just audio, but hopefully next week we get this fixed. So, camera did work. So good news on that front. As always, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. It's really appreciated. And I'll see you guys next week.